Hi you guys, so today I'm going to be reacting to a video by Dr. Todd Grande. I want to start including more like conversations about like mental health and psychology, and obviously I don't intend to become a true crime analysis channel, but some of these true crime stories, it just can open people's mind to the level of evil that is possible on this planet. So, when people like me come out talking about my experience and you get met with kind of the dismissals, it's like, do you not leave your house? Because even worse is going on here. Do you think everything bad that happens has to be fake? You know? So it's kind of on brand with my channel to analyze some of these crime cases because some of them have to do with family, very evil family dynamics. This one apparently is kind of like involving step parents, and there is a statistic, unfortunately, that kind of with step parents comes a greater risk of abuse in the household. So I want to, and I like Dr. Todd Grande. Like, he has this dry sense of humor that I really like. He's super knowledgeable, super like neutral when he tells these stories. So I want to react to this video, which is high school student found dead in carnival ship stateroom after feeling sick. This is the Anna Kepner analysis, where unfortunately the update is that yes, her stepbrother has been charged with her murder. And they were both teenagers. Let's get into it.
Hello, this is Dr. Grande. Today I will analyze the case of Anna Kepner. First, I'll look at the background of this case, move to the timeline of the crime, then offer my analysis. Anna Marie Kepner was born on June 13, 2007, and lived in Titusville, Florida. By 2025, she resided with her father, Christopher.
2007, y'all. She was that young.
And her stepmother, Chantel Hudson. In the fall of 2025,
Again, father and stepmother. Okay?
Anna was a senior at Temple Christian School, where she was active in gymnastics and cheerleading. She was to graduate in May 2026 and planned on joining the U.S. Navy. Her long-term plan was to become a K-9 police officer. Anna was booked on a cruise starting in early November 2025, which is a key part of the story. It was a 6-day cruise to the Caribbean on Carnival Horizon out of Port Miami. Horizon was scheduled to sail to Jamaica, Grand Cayman, and Cozumel, Mexico, before returning to Miami. Carnival Horizon is a Vista-class cruise ship, which went into service in 2018. It is 1,061 feet long, has 15 passenger decks, carries up to 3,960 passengers, and has a crew of 1,450. Carnival is the largest cruise operator in the world, known for its budget-friendly approach and emphasis on lively social atmospheres. The ships tend to attract a rowdier crowd compared to premium cruise lines like Disney, Celebrity, or Norwegian. The onboard environment is energetic, chaotic, and noisy, with a liberal attitude toward alcohol consumption that has earned Carnival the reputation of a party cruise or booze cruise. I like to think of Carnival as the New Jersey of the seas. Personally, I prefer Disney Cruise Line, and I've made a few videos about my positive experiences there. The contrast between Disney and Carnival is so striking that when I see a passenger behave in an unflattering, rude, or boisterous manner, which is rare on Disney, I imagine myself saying to them, hey, cut it out. This isn't Carnival. I'm moving to the timeline of the...
Yeah, so I've never been on a cruise. I know they're super popular. I'm hesitant about anything that requires me to like not be on land, including airplanes. So, I don't know if I'll ever take a cruise in my life, but my cousins, one who since passed away, very young. He was in his 30s. He worked on the carnival ships, and so does my cousin, and I think that was her brother or something. Her cousin. Yeah, they worked on the carnival ships. They loved it. Like, my cousin, she loves it. Like, but I'm things happen on cruise ships, and I don't know, things happen everywhere, but the cruise ship incidents are very suspect because it's such a small, even though he said like 3,500 passengers, it's still an isolated ship. So it's like, how much could you possibly get away with on an isolated ship? Like, how many places could there be to hide? How many places could cameras not catch somebody doing something? How much could you get away with? It's like a floating hotel.
On November 2, 2025, Anna Kepner boarded Carnival Horizon, along with several family members, including her father, Christopher, her stepmother, Chantel, her 14-year-old brother, who I will refer to as John Doe, and her 16-year-old stepbrother, who is referred to in court documents as TH. The ship left Port Miami as...
Let me reiterate. He said 16-year-old stepbrother. The stepmom's son.
And visited Jamaica and Grand Cayman. Everything seemed to be going fine. On November 6, 2025, Horizon stopped in Cozumel, Mexico. At 6:30 p.m., the vessel departed. The plan was for Horizon to have a day at sea on November 7 and arrive in Miami on November 8. So the vessel was not stopping at any more ports. It was headed back to its home port, where the cruise would end. On the evening of November 6, as Horizon was sailing away from Mexico, Anna went to dinner with her family members. She left dinner early, complaining that she was not feeling well. Anna returned to her stateroom, which she shared with her 14-year-old brother, John Doe, and her 16-year-old stepbrother, T.H. The bed belonged to Anna, while the boys were using the bunk beds. John Doe and T.H.
This was a big point that a lot of people made. Why are you making your 18-year-old daughter share a room with her two little brothers? One of which is a stepbrother. It was kind of like, why wouldn't she be staying? They have her stepmom and her have a room to themselves, and the boys be in a room to themselves. You know what I mean? There was a lot of discourse over that. And then if he addresses the backstory of like the tension between this young girl and her stepbrother, then you look at it like, putting them in a room together during any kind of vacation would be asking for it, right?
Returned to the stateroom later that evening. John changed his clothing and left to take pictures of the ship. When he returned, he noticed that Anna was not in her bed. He assumed that she had gone out again to spend time with the other adults. At this point, John went to sleep.
John Doe, her actual brother, her 14-year-old brother.
When Anna failed to show up for breakfast the next morning, November 7, her family members became concerned and started searching for her. When a medical emergency was announced over the public address system, Anna's father, Christopher, made his way to her stateroom, where a cleaning crew had just discovered her body under the bed. This was at 11:17 a.m. Anna was wrapped in a blanket and covered by life vests. At the time I'm making this video, her cause of death has not been released. Carnival Horizon returned to Port Miami on November 8, 2025 as scheduled. Special...
You, like, what? All night. Your daughter's gone all night. Didn't check on her before bed? You didn't check on the boys before bed? Like, what are you doing as parents? I can imagine one thing they was doing. And got so busy doing that they didn't want to worry about where their kids was or what they was doing. That's still your daughter. It don't matter if she's 18. Don't matter if she's going off wherever. That's still your daughter, okay? You're still a parent. If your child is with you somewhere, it will still be becoming of you to check on them before bed just because you love them. You know what I mean? Of course not.
Laws place Anna's murder under the jurisdiction of the United States because the ship was operating out of a U.S. port. The FBI has started an investigation. Now moving to my analysis. Here are my thoughts on a few areas that stood out to me in this case. Item number 1. As I mentioned, Anna's cause of death has not been released. Video surveillance from Horizon captured Anna entering her stateroom on November 6 after dinner, but she never exited the stateroom. She was killed sometime after she arrived, and when her body was found at 11:17 a.m. the next day. As far as who killed her, some people believe that it may have been her stepbrother, T.H., although he has not been arrested or charged in this case. It is reasonable to believe the same camera that captured Anna entering her stateroom on November 6 also captured her brother and stepbrother entering that same evening. Her brother John Doe then left the stateroom to take pictures of the ship, which would have also been captured on camera. This meant that Anna and her 16-year-old stepbrother T.H. were in the stateroom together. This doesn't look too good for T.H.
No, it doesn't.
Anna's stepmother Chantel filed court documents related to her previous marriage that suggest the FBI may be thinking the same thing. She mentioned that there was an investigation into the sudden death of Anna Kepner. Chantel indicated that she was advised by the FBI and her attorneys that a criminal case may be initiated against one of her minor children. It appears as though she was referring to T.H. It is reasonable to believe that T.H. may be in some trouble, but there are technically other possibilities outside of him being the killer. Maybe T.H. found Anna dead, became scared, and hid her body. After all, Anna wasn't feeling well. She had even left dinner early. Maybe whatever was making her sick caused her to die. I don't think this is a likely explanation because the typical reaction to finding a body would be to get help, not to wrap the body in a blanket and shove it under a bed. It's also possible that, if Anna's stateroom had a balcony, a perpetrator entered through her balcony door, committed the murder, concealed the body, and left. This would require the perpetrator hanging over the railing to make entry, which would be dangerous, frightening, and pretty obvious. Furthermore, if T.H. was in the stateroom when the perpetrator entered, why didn't he report the intrusion? He could have called guest services and said, hey, a guy just entered my stateroom from the balcony. Now he's committing murder. The situation is highly undesirable. Please send somebody right away.
You see how he talks? Yeah, a guy just entered me and my stepsister's freaking stateroom, and he's killing her. That's highly undesirable. Can you guys come help?
Item number 2. Some people are fighting to go on cruises because they believe that ships are dangerous. The passengers are strangers, many of them are intoxicated, and poor judgment is pretty common. Can this really be safe? Anna's murder certainly doesn't help this perception.
Right.
It reinforces this idea that cruise ships are like the Wild West, where anything can happen. Despite these fears, homicide on a cruise ship is rare. Activity on board a ship is monitored by video surveillance. There are crew members everywhere, and passengers are screened when they embark, so nobody has any weapons.
Yeah.
The probability of escaping is also a deterrent to homicide. There are a lot of motives for murder, and sometimes killers act impulsively. But in general,
Like, hun, where are you gonna escape to? You got the ocean. Jump off the balcony. That's it. Depending on where you are, there are sharks in the water, and it's like, come on. Yeah, that's a huge deterrent to committing murder on a cruise ship. Yeah, guess who would though? A dumb, not brain fully formed 16-year-old boy? Yeah.
homicidal offenders would strongly prefer not to be arrested. If a person commits a murder on a cruise ship, especially when the ship is at sea, they are trapped. There is nowhere to run and no good place to hide a body, as demonstrated in this case. Also, without access to weapons, the murder itself may be very noisy and leave a perpetrator with injuries that could be easily detected by the authorities.
Yeah.
If Anna was killed by T.H., and I don't know if she was, the killer came on board the ship with her. This perpetrator wasn't introduced to her on the cruise. They were not strangers.
Yeah.
Rather, he was a pre-existing condition, so to speak. He chose an unusual place to strike, one that attracts a lot of attention, but Anna could have been killed anywhere by the same offender. Her death wasn't specifically tied to being on a cruise. Item number 3. Some people believe that it was a bad idea to have an 18-year-old female in the same stateroom as a 16-year-old male, especially considering how they were not biological siblings. This is a reasonable observation, but again, cruise ships are generally considered to be safe. It wouldn't necessarily be a good idea to have them share a bedroom in a house, but on a cruise ship, they would only be together for 6 days, and they would be surrounded by other people. In hindsight, the arrangement was unwise, if in fact T.H. was responsible for Anna's death. But it's not clear if there was any way to predict how problematic it would be. Now moving to my final thoughts. I will provide an update for this case in the future, but for right now, it's difficult to know what the lesson learned is without knowing what happened. I guess it's a reminder that danger can lurk in unexpected places, and violence can be difficult to predict. There are risks associated with cruising, but many of them are related to intoxication, not to homicide. Those are my thoughts on the case of Anna Kepner. Thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, now let me look and see if he did an update, because this video was posted 2 months ago. And like I said, there has been an update. So let me scroll through the channel, find that video, and see. Dr. Grande is super active on YouTube. I don't even remember if he really does like updates. I think he does for sure. Okay, so no update on it yet, but when I was scrolling through YouTube, it might have been like Law and Crime Network or something where they have the post, and it was posted that yes, the son is being found guilty. The stepson is being found guilty of murdering his stepsister. And there was a whole incident of the girl's boyfriend coming out being like, yeah, she was not comfortable around him. He was making sexual advances to his stepsister. The parents kind of weren't taking it seriously. There was even like claims made that he had like sexually assaulted her before, like been on top of her in bed in the house, and it's just all kinds of stuff that's like, so you put them in a room together. People were saying the parents should be held accountable, specifically like the mom. That's your son that you raised to be so lackadaisical about believing that you're going to get in trouble for anything, that you think you can commit a crime on a cruise ship, let alone a murder on a cruise ship, and somehow get away with that. So, yeah, you need to be careful who you let around your kids, who you marry, who you let into your family, because you don't know what they got going on. You don't know what kind of weird stuff they got going on. And it can end like this, with your daughter deceased at such an absurdly young age when her life was just about to start. Yeah. But that's all for that reaction video. Stay tuned for my next one.